Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Brain Está Spicy, the podcast where two overthinking, sometimes anxiety-ridden friends spill on their highs and lows and the craziness of navigating mental health in our daily lives.
We are your hosts, Melisa and Christy. I'm Christy. She's Melissa. And as always, we are going to be talking about the beautiful chaos of life with spicy brains and inject this safe space with as much humor and our unique sazon as we can. So get yourself comfortable, grab your favorite drink or three, because it's sure to be a super fun time.
And just so we're clear, everybody, we are not medical professionals. The views and opinions that we are going to share on our show are for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not doctors, lawyers, or financial advisors. If you need expert advice in any way, shape, or form, please seek out the proper qualified professionals.
Seriously, go to therapy.
And with that, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to My Brain Está Spicy. Christy and I are back for another episode. Thank you all for joining us again. And today, we're kind of looking to continue the theme of identity. Last time when we talked, we touched on how cultural identity affects each one of us. How does it look in our mental health, and just our general thoughts on cultural identity. And as part of that, Chrissy kind of brought up the point of how our cultural identity also affects the way that we look at ourselves, the way that we look at our bodies, even the way we just in general think about who we are today and who we've always been. So kind of wanted to explore that a bit more and get each other's perspective on different reflections as far as how we've kind of gotten to where we are today and how we view ourselves today. So with that, I'm going to start the episode a little bit different. Christy hasn't heard this, so I'm excited to kind of get her reaction to this. So
She always does this to me.
I know, but I get a genuine reaction out of you, so it's great.
Yeah, it's true.
All right, so this is a poem by Emery Hall. It popped up on my actually, no, not even my Instagram. So she actually did a version of this, reading it out almost as if to a song. And I actually heard it one day as part of the music playlist that my chiropractor's office plays like on repeat whenever I'm having a session. So it's great. And I've heard it a couple of times. Sometimes it makes me emotional. Sometimes it doesn't. But every time I hear it, I always think. So it always brings reflection to me based on what it discusses. And I thought it would be the perfect opening to discuss what we're looking to talk about today. So here we go.
Okay.
I hope I do it justice with reading it.
Okay.
Make peace with all the women you once were. Lay flowers at their feet. Offer them incense and honey and forgiveness. Honor them and give them your silence. Listen. Bless them and let them be, for they are the bones of the temple you sit in now. For they are the rivers of wisdom leading you towards the sea. I have been 1,000 different women. I thought I was going to get through that without crying.
Well, now you have to. That was a beautiful poem.
I love the poem.
I think I've seen it before, read it before. But tell me why it strikes such a. If you're comfortable, you don't have to.
No, absolutely. So I think. Not I think. I'm trying to get away from saying I think. I know. For me, it harkens to what I was going to ask as like our first question with it, which is kind of what are some of your first pivotal moments that, you can think of going back where you were cognizant of your own body and how you felt in it and kind of where you are now. So whenever I hear the poem, we're always our biggest critics, and women especially, even more so, that because literally it's what we've been fed from the moment we were able to start understanding things, right? There's so much that's placed on who we are and what we present,
Yeah.
and what we offer other people, right? So we are many different women throughout our entire lives. Who we are today is not who we were a year ago. It is not who we were 10, 15 years ago. Um, and I think that poem, the reason why for me it always strikes me is because self-love is something that's always changing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you can love who you are in this moment, but still have pain associated with who you previously were. um,
Yeah.
so I think that poem forcing you to sit and still, in a way, give thanks to who you were previously, even if you weren't
Mm.
happy with that version. Um, it just shows that, like, there's still pain associated with older versions, and
100%.
it's just it always forces me to reflect.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really powerful. And thank you for sharing that. Um, to give you a breather, I'll talk. Um, I
I'm okay, folks. I promise. Yes, I cried, but
have
that
like
it
that's
is.
okay. This is I think for everyone it's a tough topic, um, because we are so many versions of ourselves over time. Um, that like everything you're saying, and I'll answer your question in a second, but it just reminds me of I had done recently, and I can have you link it in the show notes. I had done like an inner child meditation. I'm not good at meditation. Meditation is for people who are much better at focusing than I am, and I'm really good at focusing, okay? But this is like my brain just doesn't focus.
Mm.
But this was a meditation that I really wanted to try. I had found it it's through some influencer or whatever. It's an inner child meditation.
Okay.
And I did it maybe, I don't know, like 6 months ago ish. And the amount of crying I did because it hit a nerve in terms of like me communicating with my inner child or this older version of myself, or maybe in my mind like the yeah, just like the inner child within me, the
Mm.
purest kind of like most innocent form of me, the non-cynical version of me. um and when I mean, they give you different prompts while you're doing this meditation, but, like, just having a conversation with this inner child, I went into like, the first thing I went into it saying, because it's sort of like, what do they need? What do you feel like you need to communicate to them, or what do they need or whatever?
Mhm.
I was just, like, apologizing and apologizing, and I was like, "I'm so sorry. I failed you. I'm exhausted. I'm stressed out. I'm 100 pounds heavier than I should be. I'm never, like, relaxed. I'm just constantly going. I'm abusing my body, like, in in more emotional ways than or whatever, like, mental ways than I should be. Like, I'm handling this adult thing all wrong. Like, I'm so sorry. I failed you. I'm so sorry." Like, that's all I kept saying.
Mm.
And, whatever was on the other side of my brain was like, "Stop." Like, and I sort of envisioned me in, like, 4th, 5th
Mhm.
grade-ish. So, like, preteen it's, like, 11-ish, 10. So, a very, like, joyful I was a joyful kid, uh, and just very happy in general. And just, like, there her message to me was like, "Stop. I am so proud of you and everything that you've done so far. You're doing things and you're living through things that, like, seem so exciting or seem so, um, otherworldly or
Mhm.
just above what I could have ever imagined. Like, you're with someone who's amazing. and you're in a relationship that you've worked so hard to be an equal partner in. You're working super hard. I mean, like all the things. Like I see you trying, and like I'm proud of that, and I'm so joyful for you. And just seeing, like, hearing that other side. I don't know where it came from.
Mhm.
I guess my brain, but it reminded me of that. And that when you start thinking of previous versions of yourself, um, the power that's in that, in knowing that you didn't know what you didn't know then, but also they those versions would be proud of where you are. And I think I definitely, I can't speak for anybody else, but I definitely underestimate that all the time.
Mhm.
Uh, like yeah, I just underestimate that. But going back to your question, um, I was a dancer. So turning to my body, I became aware of my body very early because of dance.
Mhm.
In dance, and I wasn't even really in a with a studio that was like uh, body image um
Focused.
heavy. Like we didn't compete, we didn't, it wasn't like that, thankfully. It was a pretty like healthy place. There were heavier girls and thinner girls, and it was all girls, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, it was generally a pretty safe place, but the world of dance as it is, it's easier to do things when you're a certain shape or size. It's easier to fit into things that are revealing or whatever, when you're a certain size, like, or whatever, when you're below a certain, like, getting measured in front of other people, like taking measurements for costumes in front of your class or whatever. Like, that was all very normalized in a weird way. So I was always very cognizant of my body. Um, and that wasn't a big deal really for most of my childhood because I was a normal thin kid,
Mhm.
normal being relative. Like I was just a kid. But then by 8th grade, I was like a D. Like my boobs were there and there was no ignoring my boobs. Like it was just, they're there to stay. Uh, and they pretty much stayed that size, which is big, but I would kill to go back to that now because that was not big. That was just like manageable. Now
Mhm.
I'm just like, uh, but like I was the girl that had to wear like the sports bra under the ballet leotard because otherwise things were not gonna
Go
go
well.
well. Things were not gonna happen, trying to, yeah, just I have a whole story about my prom dress that I told Melissa about already, but uh, a lot of body image issues started for me when I started getting boobs, because the problem with boobs is that they're automatically sexualized
Yeah.
and it's not your fault. Like it's not my fault that, it's summer, I'm 13, and me wearing a triangle top bikini, which looked fabulous, but I remember shopping for bathing suits with my mom, and my mom would say, "Your father's not going to let you wear that." And I was like, "The fuck does my father have anything to do with this? Like, this is my body. I can't. I'm not. It's a bathing suit. Like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? Like, what am I? Like, there's. I'm not trying to attract anything. I'm just wearing a bathing suit. Like, it's not. Y'all are sexualizing it. I'm not. So it's and being. I've mentioned this before that I was like the oldest kid in my family, so I was seen as an example, and that was really when my example started, blipping.
Mhm.
That's when I started, I had curves, I had a beautiful body, but I was curvy, and that made more conservative members of my family who had kids that were my cousins or are my cousins very uncomfortable to have their kids around me, which was really fucked up, but true.
And
Uh-huh.
also, I think a disservice to you, and I know
Yep.
very much what that feels like, especially being at an age where, like, we don't fully understand it, and we
Yeah.
were just
You're
starting to
just
kind of figure not even figure things out,
yep.
because 'cause let's be honest,
No.
we're almost 40, we're still figuring shit out, right? Um,
No, now, yeah, things are far now it's a different direction, but yeah.
but you get what I'm saying, like, it's
Yeah.
like, things were
Yeah.
being thrust in our direction that we had, like,
Yeah.
no control over.
Yep.
I had the same issue. We mentioned it the last episode. I'm like, when I was in college, I nicknamed myself the clearance Cuban because I had all the boobs, but
So
no ass.
bad.
I know,
So bad.
but I feel the same thing. When I hit, it was for me, it was freshman year. So when we started high
Oh,
school,
so it's like a little later
it was a
for high
little
school.
later. Um,
I was early. I was pretty because I got my period
so I got mine
at
late.
11.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
I got mine
I
late.
was
I got
11.
mine at, like, the tail end of freshman year. So,
Wow.
my
Oh.
body didn't develop as
Wow.
quickly, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
certain moments where I do know that, like, things really started to change, but in terms of, like, being aware of my body, similar to you, I mean, blessing and the curse of having a disability,
Mhm.
you're aware of your body all the time. Not for the same reasons as you were aware of your body.
No, that makes sense.
The awareness of my body was due to my legs and my disability and how I was viewed by people and still am viewed by people. It's not as uncomfortable anymore just because it's like I know it's always gonna be there, so it's like there's not anything that I can kind
Right.
of change. Um, Short of every once in a while, it'll get to me where it's like I'll see someone's kid, and then I can see the parents are also staring with the kid, and I'm like,
Mm.
it takes all of my self-control to, like, not turn around and rip the parents a new asshole of, "Could you not?" Like, I'm
Mm.
literally just trying to exist. It would be really helpful if you could teach your kid, to not
Yeah.
stare at people that look a little different to them or that walk a little different or whatever the case may be. But I have to have, like, a really bad day for that to bother me nowadays. But back then, um, I mean, that was always on the mind. And the bigger I got, in age and chest size, the rest of my body was great because I, like you, was also an athlete because dancers are athletes. Um, I was a
Yes.
swimmer. I was a swimmer for most of my youth, and I played softball. So my body was actually in as great of shape as my body probably could be in, considering I had a disability. Um, but when I hit high school, for me, my my view on taking care of my body from, like, an athletic perspective changed because since I could no longer be competitive, um, like, I lost that fire in a way of wanting to stay active
Right.
because the competitiveness as a kid, while I understood I wasn't at the same level as everybody else, you weren't competing the same way as when you hit high school. When you hit high school, like, competition actually made a difference and people are mean. So when I dropped out of that, that's when a lot of how I thought about my body and felt in my body really changed for me. Uh, I think it's also when my parents' view with regards to how I took care of my body also changed. Uh, and they still say to this day, the more weight you have on you, the harder it is for your body, and this, that, and the other, right? Which is all true,
Mm.
and I know it all. I feel it, like you mentioned. You're like, I feel like I'm 100 pounds heavier than I should be. Totally with you.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. That
but
was not an exaggeration.
yeah, I know. Um, but like, I don't judge myself the same way now as I did back then based on what people told us, and like what our families told us. And again, we grew up in relative conservative-ish households, having both grown up
Yes.
Catholic. Um, so I totally get it with regards to like what you wore and what swimsuits and this, that, and the I didn't come to wear a two-piece bikini until I graduated college, just for reference. Yep. Because
Damn. Well, you
and
were also a swimmer,
it
or
doesn't
you
matter, but
guys wear one
I was
pieces.
always in a one piece, but I was always
Right.
made to feel like I had to be in a one piece because of how big I was,
Mhm.
both on top and then in the areas where, my flab would come out, which nowadays
Right, right.
I'm not as self-conscious about that. Um,
No, that's nice. What's that
but
like? I don't know.
don't get me wrong, it's not to say that I'm not self-conscious. I am.
No,
Like
yeah.
right now I don't feel comfortable being in a two-piece. Could I pull one off?
Mm.
Absolutely, because if you feel like you can, wear it and don't give a shit what anybody else says. I
Yeah.
personally don't feel like I can, but not from a perspective of like what I would look like to other people, more so because when I look at myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm not comfortable with how I look health-wise. So for me, I'm
Mm.
looking at it from I don't feel healthy in my own body. So therefore, I
Mhm.
know it affects how I see my body. But
Yep.
even just 15 pounds ago, I was still wearing a two-piece and I was like just short of like 185. And I, I granted, I wore two pieces that were meant for larger body types. So when I
Right,
wore them,
right.
like they look great. I loved them. I would feel great in them. But right now I don't feel that way. So I embrace doing a one piece because it's just I have found ones that are actually what's the word I'm looking for? Flattering.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're not just like, "Oh, you have to be in black and you can only wear it like
Yeah,
this way or that." It's like, no. Like thankfully the industry has come very far
yeah.
in that sense. But I know we
It
digressed a
has,
little
yeah.
bit.
It's fine.
But going back to, the poem and then kind of how we view it today, all of those versions of us kind of travel piece by piece. And, you brought up how your mom was like, "Oh, well, your dad's not gonna let you wear that." Um, I
That
think yeah, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That
in
was that was
in our
not her
upbringings
smartest, not her best, not her
in
best.
our upbringings, I think in this case, we both kinda share this with regards to actually, I think most women kinda share this, how
Yeah.
parental views of what we should look like dictated kinda how we've navigated ourselves, but also
Mhm.
how they navigated their own body. And to this case, I actually give my mom a lot of credit. She's owned it a lot as she's gotten older. I think because of how I've embraced like where I am and what I know I need to do and this, that, and the other. Um, like she's spoken to me before, uh, and I think she would be okay with me saying this. So hopefully she doesn't take offense to me mentioning this. But she's mentioned how, for her keeping her weight and being skinny, and when we were growing up, like when diet pills became a thing and then those hit the
Right.
market and, she got involved in that. And, um, she would mention sometimes I remember when I was growing up where she's like, "When I was your age, I was like this." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. That means
Mm.
nothing, right?" Um,
Mhm.
so as she's gotten older, I think she's embraced owning kind of where she was back then. Um,
Mm.
But when we were younger, like, how I think she was constantly like, whatever fad diet was going on at the time, I
Yeah.
magically had to follow along with her, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it wasn't for me now as an adult, I realize it wasn't necessarily, like, the best example in terms of what it meant to just live healthy
Right.
and be comfortable where you're at.
Right.
Because the healthcare system is very skewed in the context of what is healthy and what healthy looks like, and that's different for everybody. That's different for every ethnicity. That's different for every age. It, you name it, healthy is different for everybody. Um, I remember a couple of years ago, when I had my hospital visits, I remember I went to go see a cardiologist, because part of what I was feeling in my symptoms was heart palpitations, which granted,
Right.
they later on found like a very small murmur, but that wasn't enough to cause the palpitations. It was more so anxiety that was causing it, right? But when he did all of his tests, not only all the diagnostics, but also all the blood work, and I was only about 10 pounds lighter than what I am right now. He goes, "Look, you're slightly overweight based on what the standard should be. But I'll
Which are
tell you."
based on white men, can we
I
just
know,
say the
I know.
BMI can fucking can roast in fucking hell
Hell,
where it
yep.
belongs.
So with that,
Go on.
he looked at me and he goes, "Separate from that though," he goes, "You like your your body is functioning exactly the way, if not better, in areas that, a 35, 36-year-old body should be functioning at." Um, and
That's good.
at that time, like, I wasn't, like, crazy eating or dieting or working out or anything like that. I I think it was just more like just existing in itself and trying to manage stress and everything else, like, that's what kinda kept my body level, right?
Mhm.
But in comparison to other people that I know that were, like, all working out and, like, a hardcore on a diet like this, or my mom would ask me, "Oh, but what did the doctor say? And did they check your sugars and this, that, and the other?" And I'm like, "I don't know how else to tell you. I am fine." Like, literally, my body is functioning exactly as it should be. Um, and how moving through all of those phases, like, you mentioned, you did your inner child meditation and you think back to like what that child is telling you. It's like, no, I'm proud of you and I'm proud of everything that you've accomplished and kind of where you're at. That's how I feel these days. Like, that's how I view my image in a physical sense. Is granted, I realize I'm not perfect and I've got areas that I know I can improve from a health perspective, but from an identity perspective to my body, I feel like I've come so far compared to where I was even just a few years ago, um, much less 10 years ago, right before I met my husband. And I'm I'm very proud of like how I see myself today.
That's awesome. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
Someone should be. Someone should be.
But how
Um,
about you? Because I
yeah.
know you touched on like mom
Yeah.
and even paternal figures, like how was that image and how they viewed themselves and how they handled things? How did that
Yeah.
affect you and kind of where you are today?
Oh, so in so many ways. And I'll try to keep myself off the tangents and just answer your question. I spent a lot of time with my mom growing up because she was a stay-at-home mom for most of like my childhood, and then she started kind of substitute teaching. So, but she was still like, she was the one that picked me up. She was the one that took me to dance. She was the one that did all the things. So, my I got to know her relationship with food and with her body very well, and she has never liked her body. Nor has she ever felt safe around food. I have a very
Sad.
good example. It is sad. I have a very good example of it. Um, I don't know if I'll tell it, but in the meantime, um, she doesn't. She loves food. It's more that she feels she cannot control herself around food, so she
Uh,
keeps food away from herself. So not in like an anorexic way. She can eat a lot because she doesn't sleep for more than a couple hours at a time. I don't know actually how she's still operating as a human being. Not sure. Like really not sure. She's an anomaly of a person. She has she's in fight or flight constantly. So I think her adrenaline and her cortisol, actually her cortisol is probably tanked because she's just constantly at that 100% level all the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
when we were growing up, it was like something that friends of mine would say when they would come over. They were like, "Your house is the yogurt and cheese house. All you have is yogurt and cheese. Like we wouldn't have soda, we wouldn't have chips, we wouldn't have desserts, we wouldn't have nothing like that because my mom felt that even if we did have those things, uh, she would indulge in them and then bad things would happen. Even though she was quote unquote unhappy with herself. I remember she would do Jane Fonda workouts all the time at home, and I would do them with her. And she
I
evolved.
remember
So like
those.
she first it was Jane Fonda, then it was like step, like she got herself one of those step uh, platform things, and she was doing the
Uh-huh.
step thing. Then she did Pilates. So
Yeah.
she's always like the next thing. And then she eventually got to Zumba, where she would be going at 50 years old. She would do 2-a-days of Zumba, multiple days a week. Wild. Eventually, she hurt
Mm.
herself because she goes hard or she doesn't go. Like that is my mother. So she tore her
Uh,
ACL or like sprained it or whatever. Eventually, she hurt herself and she hasn't been able to go back since. But I so that was my paternal example. She she now I mean she still has all those issues. She's just not very open to new ways of thinking, really. So
how does that affect how you approach things?
I think once I started like becoming my own person, right? Like high school-ish, like I started realizing like
Mm-hmm.
just because you're like like keeping Oreos out of your house doesn't mean it's not going to help you because you're going to run into Oreos at some point and then you're going to eat even more because you want them. So it's like, why are you going to do that to yourself? Like, so I think it, something in my brain was like, but I also have never really been, well, no, I was about to tell a lie. I have been proud of my body when I was in dance, I was okay with my body. I thought I could be more fit because I was around like ballerinas. So like, people who were like super fit. But I was fit, so I was fine. I didn't really. And then college, I started going to the gym more, so I was still okay. Like I was proud of my body. Then in my early 20s, I it's I went the other direction because of anxiety, because of my struggle with anxiety. It turned into a fear of eating or throwing up or whatever. It was a whole thing. But basically, I was under eating. So I weighed
Mm-hmm.
very little for my height eventually. Like, I look back at pictures and I'm like, I was literally bone and skin, and that's it. Like, I was very thin. And I have never been as praised for how I looked as I did at that time. And I was struggling so much.
It
It's
just
just
goes to
horrible.
show
I was
you how
struggling so
disgusting.
much. It was the noise in my head about what was I eating? Was I going to get sick? What was I going to eat next? Where was I going to be? And what was going to be there? Should I take snacks with me? Like, am I going to pass out? Should I take a Gatorade? Like, it was, I was so unwell. And, my family, watching the women in my family, because at the time I was living in New York, so I was spending more time with my grandmother, with my aunts, watching them watch me and like be like, did Christy eat? What did she eat? How much did she eat? Like, because they were trying to get me to eat more because they knew I was too thin.
Oh, so it was actually like the total opposite of what you were normally used to. It was,
Yes. They were concerned. A size 4, which is like very small for like being 5'7". Like that's really small for me. For me,
that's
like that's
really
really
skinny.
tiny. And I don't care what you say. My BMI was beautiful back then. I was perfect. I was fucking sick. I was sick.
But your
I was
body
sick.
wasn't healthy.
So eventually, like therapy, meds, I started gaining weight. I was in a good place. Then I think once I started the job I'm in now, a decade ago, I think everything just went south in terms of I'm sitting a lot more, I'm stressed a lot more. So I think I've done damage to my body in that sense. And now that I've been trying for the past maybe year to really like balance my blood sugar, like doing all the fucking, I'm so obsessive. Like, hi, OCD. Like, I'm so obsessive about things that health anxiety came back around and was like, oh my God, these like blood work results. What does this like little variance mean? What does this like? Cause I'm sort of the same way of like, I do blood work and they're like, yeah, you're good, but you should lose weight. And I'm like, okay, am I good or do I need to lose weight? Number one, go fuck yourself. I can't.
Yeah, you
Like,
can't have it both ways.
either I'm dying or like, what, hello? And you know, and then social media is just even worse because it's like throwing around all the terms of like hormone imbalance and cortisol, whatever, and insulin resistance. And do you have PCOS? And like, I have gone down all of the roads you could go down, and I am done. I'm done. I'm done. Like, I'm done. At this point,
Are you tired?
oh, I'm exhausted.
So would you say it's more like now looking at how you look like and how you feel, it's more you're trying to navigate not being angry at yourself for having
Oh,
gotten to where you are?
for sure. For
Okay,
sure.
well
Yeah.
that's that's good in a way. At least you know that like you can identify right now, yes, what you're working on is to get healthy, but you also want to focus on not being angry at yourself
Yeah.
for where you are
Yeah.
because where you are is a culmination of a lot of different things over X, Y, and Z amount of
Yeah.
years that's kind of built on top of itself.
Exactly. And that I feel like that kind of damage or that kind of ultimately my body has just done what it can to survive. Like it's just
Well,
doing what it
absolutely.
can to help me get through the shit that I'm going through. That's why it
Mhm.
looks the way it looks. It's not because I'm I'm just so unhealthy or so what it's just trying to survive and that's what it's doing. Like
Mhm.
that's why it looks the way it looks or it's doing what it's doing. Um
Mhm.
and ultimately all I can do now is I'm trying to like just look at things more holistically. I'm trying
Okay.
to because I can't like it's hard for me to look in the mirror. I used to be the girl that could look in the mirror and be like, "Okay, you're hot." You're like I'm so glad we did not grow up with social media, Melissa. I
I hear that.
I am so glad because there are photos of me out there. There are photos of me out there that are very inappropriate. Um that I that I'm still like to this day, I'm like, "You work. Like you were hot." Right? And I'm still hot. It's fine. I can't internalize that yet, but I'll get there.
It's just different. It's
It's
just
just
different. So let
different.
me ask you
It's
this.
just different.
Let me ask you this. We balancing it mentally, because you say that health anxiety kind of plays into it.
Mhm.
How do you how has your body confidence,
Oof.
2 questions, affected other areas of your life?
Mm.
I know dating wise, it's not that much of a deal because you've married a saint.
I have.
So we can touch on that after. But I guess more so like how has it affected other parts of your life? And then with what you struggle with right now that you just said you don't like looking at yourself in the mirror, what are other ways
Yeah.
that you practice self-love that does feel comfortable to you
Mhm. Um,
despite everything that kind of comes at you still, even from family and
mhm.
just, media and society?
Um, okay, so that was a two-part question. So the first part
Yes.
was, um,
How does it affect other
how does
parts
it
of your
affect
life?
other parts? Okay, and then self-love. Got it. So it absolutely affects other parts. So I can tell you like measurable things. 10 years ago, I or maybe even less, maybe like 8 years ago, I used to go to Vixen, which is like a hip hop class. It's
Mhm.
it's like being in a music video, but it's dark, it's all girls or girls and, like, the spare gay guy. So, like, very safe space, like, very safe
Uh-huh.
space. Women of all different sizes and whatever. It's not all, like, influencer shape people. Um, and it's just like going to a club, but it's not at 2 a.m. on the beach. It's, 6 o'clock in the evening on a Wednesday. And I loved it. It spoke to something about my confidence, my femininity, my like that power of being feminine and being sexual, but also like stepping into your anger at the same time. Like it was powerful in so many ways and I loved it. And lost I moved to Miramar for a bit. So I was physically away from classes, so I couldn't really go. And that's when I started like slowly. This was post engagement breakup. So
Mm.
that I think was the catalyst that like so anyway, the way it affects me is in all the ways. Like as time has gone on, I've realized like it's not just I can't really look at myself in the mirror and like I'm not confident in, because all I see is my tummy, all I see is my arms, all I see is whatever, my neck hump. Like all I see are these different things. Um, it's beyond that. It's confidence in myself at work and like doubting whether I'm good at what I do or if I'm just following the rules. It's
Mhm.
confidence in like what I wear everywhere because I don't like anything I wear because I don't like how I feel in what I'm wearing.
Uh,
It's so multifaceted and uh, there's a lot of healing that I have to do. I mean, I started it, but it's just a lot of damage that I did to myself that other people did to me uh, by, abandoning me when I needed them, by just a multitude of
why do you think
things.
that you damaged yourself? Why do you think it's fair to say that you damaged it? You just said a couple of minutes ago you did the best that you could, and your body was just functioning the best that it could in the
Yeah.
moment. So why do you think that you were causing yourself damage if you were doing the best that you could?
Okay, therapy.
I
Okay.
just
That
and you just I'm
No,
just
you're
asking a
and
question.
that's the whole point. That's the whole point. The point is I did it, but that's the narrative that came out.
That's in
That's
your
the narrative
brain.
in my brain that
Yeah.
came out of my mouth. Like just, the thing that's running around in my brain is you did this to yourself. You are still in this job
Yeah.
that hurts you. You're still sitting there gaining all the weight and, not being the bouncy 38-year-old you're supposed to be. Right? Like these
Which I mean,
narratives in your brain.
it is fair to have the narrative though, because I mean, where we are is our responsibility.
Sure.
Like I own it. I am just actually I just dropped under 200 the other day when I got weighed at the
Look at
doctor's
you.
office, which was just not that I really care about the number. It's more so like I can already tell that I'm feeling better. We are in charge of the narrative in our heads and what we do, right? But by the same token, I mean, we move through as best as we can, and I find it interesting. It's funny for you, post engagement breakup. It was, I guess for most people's standards, they would say it's a regression, right? You're like, oh, that's when, you stop doing this and you stop doing that. And then that's where you're
It
waking.
was an evolution. It was a
It
transition.
was an evolution. But that's where you
Yeah.
can kind of like pinpoint it within the recent redefinition of where you are, right? I was the opposite. So my my really nasty breakup before I met my husband um did the opposite
Really?
for me. Um it and I don't know if it was because I was already on that path of wanting to just like myself better or not.
Mhm, mhm.
I can't really pinpoint it, but
Yeah.
when when my split happened, I mean, I lost 20 pounds in 3 weeks.
Oh, that's cool.
It and it was all, like, just emotional
Emotional, yeah.
stress, and,
Yeah.
uh and it wasn't that I wasn't because people were asking me, "Are you eating? Like, are you good?" And I was having 3 meals a day. It was just, breakup's a breakup, and
Yeah.
when it's a nasty one and it's a bad one, it affects people in different ways. For me, it it drew a lot of things into perspective of how much of myself I let go,
Mm.
um, how much I masked, how much I didn't know who I was, how much I didn't actually like who I became because I was so insecure about potentially losing who the guy that I was with, which in the end, I didn't lose him. He
That
chose to
was
leave, and that's fine.
that
The best
was
thing that could have
that
ever
was a
happened to me,
gift.
even though yes, it was
That
a
was
gift.
a
I can see it
gift.
now as a gift. He's still a piece of shit, um,
Yeah.
for doing what he did, and in a way, as shitty as it was, I'm eternally grateful for the experience.
Mm.
But yeah, I did the opposite because for me, I ended up seeking validation for myself, which is
That's
healthy
good
and
though.
unhealthy in a way.
That's good
Yes
though.
and no.
Because
Be
I escaped I escaped I it's all escapism. I escaped into another relationship. I
okay.
literally physically removed myself from this area and moved to another area. So I was
Mhm.
further from my family. I was further from the friends that I had left, which weren't a lot. Uh, and I think it also has to do with who you surround yourself with, because who I
Mm.
surrounded myself with, it felt very much like I'm in a cocoon and I'm like, I don't give a fuck about what's happening out here. I'm just in here. And I'm like hurt and I in here. I'm hurt, but I'm not gonna say I'm hurt, but I'm hurt. Like
Mhm.
it was a time. It was a very weird, interesting time. And then COVID happened. And I was starting to get out of it, like transition out of it, but
Mhm.
then COVID happened. And I think COVID spoke to the antisocial voice in my head. That was like,
Where you got to
yes,
disconnect from, like, the
yes.
world.
And I haven't really come back from it, especially now being at my parents' house. Like I've become pretty a little bit antisocial. Like I just yeah. Like I'm not
So let me ask you this. Is it
well,
is it that you are antisocial or because this is what I think at least for myself. Is it that you're antisocial or you just realized you operated at a level that the environment around you consistently forced you to operate at regularly, and COVID allowed that disconnect to slow down? Because for me, that's what I feel like
that's true.
happened for me with COVID. We both grew up in Miami. So that go, 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 constant hustle, also very dog eat dog kind of energy, even
Mhm.
amongst like close circles, right? Like it's very much like everyone's kind of for themselves and not really like a personal community.
Yep.
COVID allowed that disconnect to not have to function so high level.
Yeah.
Um, it's funny how for me my anxiety started after COVID, which makes sense. All of a
I mean,
sudden we come out of this like 2-year bubble and all the inputs start coming back in, and your body just doesn't know
body's
how to
like, nope,
function at that level.
nope. Yeah.
Yep. So I think I, I've going back to the poem, I've been 1,000 different women, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
in a state now where I'm very selective of where I place my energy
Mhm.
and who I allow into my sphere.
Mhm.
Um, because I've worked hard to love like where I am, who I'm with,
Mhm.
um, and the good, bad, and the ugly that comes from each one of us and how him and I navigate life, yet at the same time, like we do it in a way that feels comfortable for both of us, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think COVID allowed us that space, even in its chaos.
Mhm.
And there were moments where we wanted to kill each other. Um, to build differently, and it's funny comparing that period to, like, the person that I was before him, not my 1 year of singledom, the person that I was before him when I was in the previous relationship before him.
Right.
Um, Very different person. That in between year, I gave myself the space to, I guess, um get to know parts of myself that I always avoided.
Mhm.
I think that's what my breakup kind of highlighted for me was there were a lot of parts of my individual self physically and emotionally that I just didn't know that I ran away from a lot.
Mhm.
And I did the hard work to kind of fight that. So I did work out. I lost a bunch of weight. I think it was in as an adult, I was in some of the best shape that I'd ever been. I was at like 150. I
Wow.
looked great for me. It was like I was like a solid 8, size 8, size 10, which is like perfect for my height, our age at the time. It was in our late 20s. Um, and it was just like I looked great and I felt great on top of that, right? So my husband and I met at that time. Like we were
Yeah.
both on highs, we were both looking good, we were both working out. And then you get into a relationship. And then like a
And you're
year later
happy.
comes in and we're happy, but what happens with there too,
You're
you kinda get
comfy.
complacent
Yep.
in that yeah, in that
Comfy.
comfort. So it's like, we don't work out, we love to eat out, or we go out for a drink. So it's like all the things that we know could potentially hurt us, but they make us feel good, like all of that comes into play, right? And then you add in life stress,
Mhm.
financial stress, uh, dealing with the, financial situations with his mom and us navigating that as a couple, right? um, Moving out of Miami, coming to Orlando, what does that look like? Just a lot of different factors. And now I'm at a point where, because of the layoff, I kind of feel like I'm at another inflection point
Yeah.
where I'm getting an opportunity to do more self reflection. And I feel like these first 6 months of layoff, and I'm not my first 6 months because I don't want there to be another 6 months.
Mm.
These 6 months that I've been navigating layoff,
Mm.
right, and unemployment, I've given myself the opportunity to focus on getting back in touch with my body, as well as getting back in touch with my emotions and getting my head straight and kind of where do I want to go? What are my values and where I want to go? But by the same token, now I'm at my point where I'm like, my body's not healthy.
Mm.
What can I do to make my body healthy? Not what can I do to make my body skinny?
No, it's yeah.
What can I do to make my body healthy? That's going to allow me to show up better for myself emotionally, fight the anxiety, because when you're working out, even if it's a simple walk, people, for the record, I'm not talking about like I'm going to go start hitting up, like Orange Theory. I'm talking about just getting my ass out
Oh
of the
yeah.
house and going for like a 10-minute walk
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
every day, right? Um that helps push all that anxiety out of
Yes.
the system.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I think that's where I find myself today, and how I am starting to show myself that self-love, which brings me back to the
Oh,
second part of my
that's right.
question for you, which is
That's right.
what with what you're battling,
Yeah.
how are you showing yourself the self-love to where you're listening to your self-love.
Yeah.
You're not fighting it.
Yeah. So I'm sort of, it's by being the parent to myself that I need to be. So I mean that
Ooh, okay,
as,
let's dig into
but
that.
I mean that in a positive way. I mean it as
Okay,
being the
that's fine.
parent that I needed, that I got in some ways and didn't get in other ways. So
Okay.
making myself, when I wake up, the last thing I want to fucking do is get out of bed. The last thing, when I wake up, I gotta get out of bed and I gotta go sit in the sun. I'm gonna sit in the sun for 10 minutes. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it because I need my vitamin D.
You're sunflowering.
And it's like those stupid memes that are like, I'm on this stupid outside mental health walk for my stupid mental health. Fuck this shit. Like that's exactly what it is. I'm making myself like, well, before we started this call, we were talking about how I went to Disney this past weekend and I barely spent any. I'm an annual pass holder, so I go a lot. So I don't need to go and do all the things. This time we went and we barely did anything in the parks. We did a lot of walking around like the resorts and stuff because I'm trying to get a lot more walking in. Like I'm just trying to move my fucking body because I know that I feel better when
There
I
you
move
go.
it. Like I feel worse when I don't. And it feels good in the moment not to, but long term, not so much. I've forced myself to start taking walks around the block in the middle of the workday when I'm at work, which is healthy for my brain because
Mhm.
I don't like, I eat lunch at my desk, which is horrible, but I do it because that's the culture. So I have to do something. So that's what I do. And trying to get to bed at the same time every day is really hard because on weekends I want to like revenge procrastinate kind of thing and just like stay up. Uh,
Stay up super late. Yep.
but that's not good for your circadian rhythm or your cortisol levels. So, um, doing things for my body that help it. So, like doing like castor oil packs for like endometriosis pain and stuff that looks like nothing, but is something and it helps. It's just not exciting. Like I'm trying to get back to boring because in the end of the day, the boring routines are what your brain loves and feels safe in. You can't always.
Because it's consistency.
Exactly. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying. That's the form. So even though it doesn't at the outset feel like self-love, that's what I'm trying to use my self-discipline against myself for myself, if that makes any sense. I think I'm trying to, because
It does make sense.
I am too. And the thing is that I'm also really good at doing way too much and then expecting change in a very short amount of time, which is probably my problem right now. I'm like, I've been doing all these things. I don't fucking see anything changing. And it pisses me off, but I have to take a breath and
So that was going to be my next question
I
for
have to
you.
realize it.
Like, have have you been challenging yourself at the same time to remember that it's okay to slow down
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
to speak happy things to yourself? Because that's one thing that I have
Hippie
done,
things. Yeah.
and it sounds silly,
No,
but
it doesn't.
I have noticed the difference for myself. So remember when I did the doom scrolling episode, right?
Yes.
We did that was our first episode. That's
Yes.
when I started the whole like social media cleanse, and I took a break and I really cut back on like what I was ingesting. I am now back on social media. I did just short of 60 days, guys. I think I quit it
Amazing.
like 4 days before my birthday.
Amazing.
So still good.
Amazing.
Um now that I'm back in, I see I see a lot of what I can easily fall back into.
Mhm.
So I am very much trying to stay consistent with what I instituted. So like for me, my 3 times a day affirmations are still like, I'm still going strong. I'm at like day 67 on it. It's literally the first thing I do every morning. And to show you, like, I've been doing them so consistently that on the days that I forget and I catch myself looking at either social media or my email before I've done the affirmation, I'm like, oh, wait, no, I can't do this yet.
Yeah.
Like, I will go, I'll open the app,
Yeah.
I'll read a few affirmations, and then
Then you
I'll
get
go
on your phone.
do
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's really, really helped for me. And then I've added 2 things recently. So you said, you getting out of bed, um, is one of the toughest things that you've done. I don't know if you've ever thought of doing this. I got the idea from, um, Mel Robbins' book. So she talks about it in the Let Them theory, but then she has a whole book, a separate book on, like, healthy habits. And one of the things that she does, and it was funny when I first started it, but I really, really like doing it now. It's like the blast off theory. So it's whenever you know you need to do something, and you keep telling yourself, okay, I got to get out of bed, or all right, I got to get up and I'm going to go take a walk, or whatever the case may be. It's you count down from 5, like if you're blasting off from a rocket, and then it's like at 1, like there's no question. You got to get up. The first couple of times I did it, like, it feels weird, but now, like, I've gotten so consistently used to doing it in the morning
That's
that if I
cute.
don't do it, it feels weird. So that's helped.
I like that.
And the last one that I've done, and I've actually bumped this one up recently. I forget where I read this, but it's about high-fiving yourself in the mirror in the morning.
Um,
So it's kinda like when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, "I love you. You're awesome," right? And they tell you that that's, like, a great way of just kinda preaching yourself self-love directly to your face. But if you give yourself a high five, it's kinda like the same rewiring. So I've started doing that. I've been doing that for about 2 weeks, and I look funny in the morning, and it's like I'll literally, like, high five myself in the mirror, and if I forget to do it in the mirror, I'll put my camera on selfie mode, and I'll do it on my phone, but I still do it, right? Um and then another thing I've started doing with that is I'll actually do it, or I'll try to remember to do it, like, right before I get into the shower. So I do it when I'm not wearing any clothes, because then it forces me to take in my entire body, how it looks, all my scars from all my surgeries, my stretch marks, where the flab is, like, seeing myself and forcing myself to still look and be like, "Hey, you got this." High five yourself and then, like, go start my day. That's how I've, little by little, been incorporating, and I think it has done enough to, like, rewire me to realize I'm good, like, I'm still beautiful, I feel good, right? But by the same token, I can look at myself and I'm like, "You know what? I need to do a better job of taking care of myself. I've gotta start, like, I've gotta add in some positive movement to go along with this
Mhm.
positive mental health."
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. That's good. That's so sweet. I'm so mean to myself. I am such a bitch to myself, honestly. Like it's bad. It's pretty bad. And it annoys my husband. Uh, because sometimes I say the things and he's just like, that's not
Out
true.
loud.
Like, stop saying that. Like, why are you saying that? Like, I'm a very mean person to myself, for sure. Like, I'm just not nice. I don't know if it's the dancer's eye that's critical because I'm like,
I think it's more than that.
I think it's more than that too, because it all symbolizes a lot more, than just
Mhm.
like you're not lifting weights. Like it's not that. It's just yeah, it's frustration. It's a lot of shit. And I admire that you can do that. That's awesome. I'm yeah, I admire that. That's powerful to be able to like look yourself in the mirror and be like, I love you. You're awesome. And like believe it. Like for real, for real. Not like I'm doing the
I mean
moves and
I mean,
walking
I
away.
am doing the moves.
Well,
There's
right. Like fake
days
it till
where
you
I'm like,
make
I
it kind of
don't
thing.
feel it. Exactly. Like, there are days where I'm just like, I don't want it, but I'm like, I'm going to do it anyways. So
That's good.
I guess that's my challenge to you in that sense with
Mm.
practicing that level of acknowledgement and self-love for yourself would be like, and I challenge this to anybody who's listening as well. Like, what would it take to try to start that little step for yourself
Mm.
so that you can try to combat that negative mean girl that you say that you are to yourself?
Yeah, I know. It's I'll try it. I'll just like I'm good at affirmations that are more positive thinking. Like, I use different ones of like I'm safe, I'm powerful, I'm whole, blah blah blah. Like I have kind of different stanzas that I say in my brain, but it's
Mm.
never me talking to myself like you're awesome, you're beautiful, you're whatever. Like, so it's a different spin, perhaps.
Mm.
I don't know.
I'm hearing a fun challenge. Well, I'll tell you this. We'll wrap up and I'm gonna end the episode the same way I started it because
Oh,
I think it brings it full circle,
okay.
and I think it drives home the challenge for you to speak kindly to yourself
Mm,
in acknowledging where you are and where you've been.
mm,
So I'm going to end our episode the same way I started it. But I think because of what we've talked about, I'm going to be able to get through without crying this time.
okay.
So with that, we're going to do this again.
Okay.
Make peace with all the women you once were. Lay flowers at their feet. Offer them incense and honey and forgiveness. Honor them and give them your silence. Listen. Bless them and let them be. For they are the bones of the temple you sit in now. For they are the rivers of wisdom leading you toward the sea. I have been 1,000 different women.
Mm,
And with that,
it's a good one.
folks, I love that poem. I will include it for everybody to be able to read it in the show notes. Thank you all for going on this winding conversation with us. But I liked it. Actually, this is the first one that's winding that I actually kind of liked it being kind of all over the place.
Mm,
I think it speaks to what all of us kind of navigate in any way, shape, or form at one point in time in our lives or another.
yeah.
But we thank you all for joining us today again. We look forward to meeting you here in this safe space once again real soon.
Yes.
If you like what you heard today and what you've previously heard, please remember to like, follow, share our episodes, interact with us on Instagram at My Brain Está Spicy. And if you'd like to send us an email or get in touch with the show directly, you can contact us at thespicybrainpod@gmail.com. And with that, everyone have a wonderful, wonderful day. Speak some love into your day. And may your brains be just a little bit less spicy.
And your tummies too.
Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you hanging out with us on this mental health ride. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, follow, comment, and share My Brain Está Spicy with your fellow overthinkers, because the more the merrier in this Spicy Brain Club. If you're curious about any of the hacks or products we've mentioned, check out the show notes for links. We're not sponsored by any of these, though feel free to call us. We just love them so much and think you might too. Catch you next time. And until then, may your brain be just a little bit less spicy.